Hey everybody, Keith from the Ash and Fly Shop. We got an interesting pattern today for you. Summertime, Upper Sacramento, McLeod, that sort of thing. This pattern I picked up at, it's a variant of a Humpy. I picked it up, God, forever ago at the Ted Fay shop there in Dunsmuir. Bob Grace turned me on to it. It's been around for a long time. I guess it was tied by a guy named Joe Olson out of Reading. Joe Kimsey had it in the shop for years, so it's been around a long time. It's just called a skinny Humpy, and I use it to do my dry dropper stuff on the McLeod. I use it I skate over the top of all the little pools with it. I use it to kind of dab and make it look like the fly's jumping around. I just love it. It's really a sparse fly, super simple to tie, but it's really effective. I think one of the things that makes it really effective is that instead of deer hair, we're using moose, so it's a little more, it floats a little bit better, a little more air in the shank of the moose there, and then it's got a really big hackle on here. That gives it this kind of real dancey feeling. So let's do it. Let's tie it. All right, so here we go. Super simple. Like I said, moose body hair, some long hackles. I like this is a chocolate brown, but you can use a black. You can use, I've used ginger before. TMC 100s, I'm tying it into 10. You could do 8s, 12s, depending on, I've tied them as big as 6s before when I really want something big to carry a little dropper behind. But TMC 100s, just a regular old dry fly hook. I'm tying this one in yellow, but you can see just about any color you want, you can do. And super simple. What we're going to do, let's get our thread started. Tie this back. And now we're going to make our whole body right now with the thread so that when we put on the moose that we don't have to fight it and hold back up the hackles there. But it's really not a lot to this. You're just putting some thread on the body to fill it out just a little bit. Remember, it's called the skinny Humpy, so and anybody who's been in that shop on the Upper Sac and McLeod is looking for little stonefly patterns, I'm sure has seen this pattern. There we go. So you can see I didn't put a lot of thread on there, and then it doesn't have a huge tail or anything like that. That's probably a little too much. You're looking at maybe 8 or 10 pieces of moose on the end. Get out your old hair stacker. Clean it off again. And then I like to go 1.5 times this distance from the point of the hook to the shank. So I'm just going to hang that on there. I'm going to come around, and when I do this, I'm going to pull up to set my thread in place. If you pull over, you'll spin the deer hair or the moose hair. Just a couple of good tight wraps right there. Pull all that out of the way, bring your thread all the way up. Make sure everything's in place. Pull it all down, same thing, come over the top and then pull up. Then it doesn't pull it all over the place. And that's really all that is right there. Trim this at an angle. That's nice and set. Now I used to wrap all of that down, but what I found out is that it puts this really big head on it, so I don't like that so much. So what I'm going to do is leave it right there for the moment. I'm going to pull off a piece of this hackle here, and you can see this is really big stuff. You really want to get past all this webby stuff into the little more hard, you know, more dry fly-ish kind of stuff there. Trim it back. Tie it down right in that same spot. And then that's where I'm going to wrap everything down together, and it'll kind of hold that feather in place. Cut that off, make a few more wraps. Nice and tight. Then just wrap your hackle. And you really can't put too much on here. The only place that you can put too much on is right at the head. Just like all dry flies, you want to give a wide berth to that head so that you have a nice little head on that fly. But you can see this is getting nice and full and kind of spidery. And take this around, follow that up. Try not to lock in any of those hackles there. All right, now just give a little push backwards, pull all this stuff out of the way, and make a little head. Cut off my extra little feather. There we go. That looks good. Now, here's a trick too. Where'd it go? If you are crowding your head here a little bit, you can gently take your half hitch tool and just kind of push to get that back just a little bit. But I like where that is at. So now I'm just gonna use my half hitch tool on this to. I know some guys like to use whip finishers and all that, but it's kind of hard to get it in that little spot there. That. Cut that off. Now I'm going to take my hard head or whatever, you know, head cement you got laying around. Chris at the shop sometimes gets on me because I forget to do this. And you give him a fly and it comes apart. He gets a little mad at you. There we go. And that's it. That's the skinny humpy that from the Ted Face shop down there. Now, one more step that I like to do with all of my dry flies that are, you know, all my mayflies, my caddis flies, stuff like that. I really like this Loon Hydra Stop stuff. So I usually have it sitting right next to my bench when I'm tying up all my dry flies, and I'll take them out. Here's all the other ones I tied, and I just drop them in there. Get them down in there a little bit. You know, you just set them in there, and I'll let them sit for, I don't know, this says it tells you how long, 5 minutes. So I usually let them sit in there for about 5 minutes. Then I take a paper towel. Just pull them all out. And at my desk, I've got a little magnet for this. And this stuff really does seal these flies up really well and help them float really good later on. I don't dab them. I don't do anything like that. I just leave them alone and let that stuff, and it will completely go away. It'll just kind of absorb into the materials. And but it does really seal up your flies and let them float really, really high on the water. And then all I use is the dry shake after that. Sometimes I'll use the Aquel or something like that, but really with all my small stuff I do that, and then I'm good to go. But the skinny humpy, as tied by me, you know, it's my version of it, but it's been around for a long time. There's a really ugly version of it right now because it's wet and slimy. There you go. Go fishing. Hope you like it.